Negativity is a very abundant resource in today's society of rapid innovation and modern technologies. People have had more than enough of it, and it seems to be that its value has declined. You know, therefore, the market or the people don't hold much value for it. Needless to say, then, if you only ever offer a constant stream of negativity, then people might not care to have you around or even value their time spent with you. They've had enough of that bullshit negativity placed around them in their lives. And they're not in need of it anymore. They're not in need of any more worthless gossip or complaining. That is to say that ranting and bitching about how hard your life is, your unprecedented work life circumstance, or you're actively trying to one-up everyone, like everyone that's around you, all that's a surefire way to get people to not like you, and for you to miss out on a lot of valuable insights, life lessons, learning moments, good valuable conversations. The list goes on, really. Why does any of this matter? What brought this up in the first place? Well, after a couple years of being in the adult world, I've noticed that it all seems to be a competition to see how successful people are. Now, of course, people want to ensure that their time spent on this earth is productively spent and that they're highly achieved and are doing well. So, if they aren't already making millions of dollars and are fulfilled and content with their day-to-day lives, then what are their options? How do they make themselves seem more decorated than they actually are, or that they actually may be? How do they cope with the shortcomings, the sad shortcomings of what they envision their future as to what it is now? Well, by turning it into a competition of seeing who, of seeing who the most miserable is. By turning it into a competition to see who the most miserable person is. Making one's life seem so much harder and riddled with constant stream of issues that seem to never be within the person's control. It would naturally make any of their achievements that they do manage look a lot better because it took more to get to that point. And this is what a lot of people will play at when they decide to continuously one-up each other's misery. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but misery. With one of their complaints, or with one-off complaints. Sighing, they can huff, they have poor attitudes, or, they're just straight up neglecting themselves. Sorry, bro. Sorry. Okay. Straight up neglecting their physical or mental needs, right? Say they really need a shower, and they don't take a shower, so they come in, they're all dirty, and their clothes aren't washed, and, they need new shoes, right? The bottom of their shoes are starting to fade out, and it's causing them work issues, like with their ankles and with blisters on their foot. But they neglect getting new shoes because, what the hell? And it causes them more issues, right? They want people to see that, they're obviously putting in work. They're skipping meals, obviously not getting enough sleep, and they're, beating themselves to the bone, essentially. These same people will ask for more work, or make current work much harder than it needs to be, by not using the correct equipment or procedures. Then they'll complain about it later as if it were somehow a fate that they didn't choose themselves. problems that other people forced on them? No. So, here's a little bit of an example of what I'm talking about. Someone will come into work, they'll sigh and make a general comment about how something small or maybe quite major, right, that upset them, right? Then someone else is going to come up and they'll feel the need to send out an, "Oh, you think that's bad?" kind of remark to the original person, right? So the original person is left to feel that their concerns may not be justified. So they decide to retort back with another piece of bad news so that they feel their situation is more justified. Their complaints are more justified. And the two may carry on that way for quite a while. I've seen that kind of conversation go on for all day, like even a couple days straight. It's quite sad. Of course, not only one time, but I mean through the work day and the next work day, the next work day. I'm sorry, you guys. If you're sitting on the other end of that camera and you're like yawning right now, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to like throw that on you. Anyway, in the end, both parties feel defensive, unheard, and even more miserable because they have to be acting the part. Does anyone remember that fake it till you make it mentality that everyone used to preach and, recommend for gathering confidence or, obtaining success? Well, imagine how that works if it's reversed, and if it's been proven that negativity holds 10 times more of an effect than does our minds, than does the positive. If negative is inevitable and we are never promised good times because we're meant to go out and make those or find those for ourselves. And what is a good time? Really quick. What is a good time? A good time is simply you having your perception of what a good time is. Right? So you decide what you want to enjoy. You decide what you enjoy. What you gather enjoyment out of, what you see value in. You decide all that. You can control all that. Right? Now, just with that in mind, only really you can go out and give yourself a good time. You really can't expect other people to be able to give it to you when they don't know exactly what you like and they don't feel like taking the time out to understand someone else like that because no one's doing that for them. Alright? So to get someone else to do that for you, you have to do that to them first. We're never promised good times. But so then why should we waste our time on making ourselves more miserable than, needed simply for the momentary social validation that comes with a possible head nod and, a little bit of respect, a little bit of street cred or something, right? And to be correct, to be politically correct. Would you really want to sacrifice that much of not only your physical and mental health, but your families as well? The people that are close to you, your girlfriend, your friends, even your dog, simply to feel that momentary relief? Come on, bro. Now this is really unfortunate because sometimes these situations can start out as something very small and minuscule, but it can quickly evolve into a snowball, a pit of feelings of neglect and loneliness when people inevitably begin to ignore you because they have their own problems, and they don't see value in interacting with people who are constantly negative, which only causes these individuals to act more in the way I described above. These people aren't like inherently bad, and it could be argued that the employers shouldn't be allowing themselves, those people more hours to work, who obviously can't balance their personal lives with work, which is exactly what you're proving by not getting enough sleep, showering, or skipping meals. However, that would be missing the point of what I'm trying to say here. People do these things completely subconsciously. Yes, the things that I mentioned can occur naturally based off of circumstance, but it's also important to note that it can and often is faked quite a bit, or exaggerated much beyond need. Then it doesn't take too long before the fakers have an actual problem or an issue with it. And they don't want to admit it that they were, lying or whatever, because they develop a sort of ego and begin to lie, even believe the stories that they're creating, all of which makes the recovery process 10 times harder and often leads to it never being resolved. Some people do get bogged down by life, and it's very difficult. It is very difficult. And I apologize if this comes off as dismissive to that fact. However, what's often not realized is that one's positive attitude is typically the bridge to success for everyone, or most people. Sure, there's always exceptions to this rule, and maybe you are one. But either way, it could only benefit you and speed up your results, multiply your results, right? If you are able to decide how you feel and when you want to feel it. By deciding to plunge, and I'm not saying you can control how you feel every moment of the day. What I'm saying is, when you feel a certain way, you know what to do to yourself. You have the self-awareness to change that. It may not be instant, it may be gradual, but you can change that. You can stop doing this to stop feeling this. You can stop doing that to have these thoughts. You can start doing this to not have those thoughts, right? If you're feeling like a failure, go and do something difficult, because after that you'll feel so proud that it'll be overwhelming, and the feeling of wasting time and being down on yourself won't be there anymore. That was a little bit of a side rant, but by deciding to plunge into that negative attitude and pretend to act as miserable as humanly possible, so that someone can get instant gratification from the validation you receive when you're asked what's wrong, and you're able to tell your story. I don't want to make this video too long, but if you'd like me to add the second part, there's a lot more that I want to say on this, and then there's another section that I'll be uploading soon. Just leave me a comment and I'll be sure to do that as soon as possible. I just wanted to bring some awareness to this situation, because I do feel like some people who maybe can relate to my message here may be able to save themselves the years of pain that go along with what I described. Trust me, bro, everyone is happier when you're happy. Stay on task.